So this is hopefully going to be the first of monthly videos or photo posts that I'm going to be doing for my blog. Each one is either going to be a tutorial of me showing how I use a particular medium, different techniques that I use, as I do get asked by people what I actually do. Apparently I'm an enigma. Other videos are going to be me just trying out new techniques, different mediums. Most of them are going to be watercolours because that is what I mostly use, but I'm going to be going back to things like charcoals, acrylics, mediums that I have used in the past quite a lot, but for some reason I've just stopped. So this first video that I'm going to do is how I use watercolours. I tend to use them quite dry. I'm not a very traditional watercolourist in the fact that I do lots of wet on wet and blending colours together. I almost use them more like marker pens. So the painting that I'm doing is an old one. I've just rediscovered it. I really don't like it, so it's going to be the guinea pig basically. The most important tool that I use is this. Tissue paper, toilet paper, kitchen roll, anything like that, something that's going to wick up water and paint. So yeah, let's give it a go. I'm going to be concentrating on this tree here because it looks like a good victim. Let's give this a shot. So all I do is block in areas that I want with pigment on, and literally I'm drawing it on this paintbrush. I'm using like a pencil, and as I go along I just blot off the paint. Obviously the quicker you blot it off, the less paint will get left behind, and likewise if you leave it for a long time, the colour will be stronger. I think I probably very first started doing this purely on the basis that I'm quite impatient, and I don't want to wait for it to dry. So I started blotting it and actually found that I worked really well with it. It gives you the ability to create really crisp lines with the paint, which watercolour isn't something that you can always do that with, especially because it bleeds. But if you keep it dry, it doesn't have the opportunity to do so. So that is basically how I paint. It's actually rather unexciting and very simple when you know how. A lot of people seem to be under this impression that I have some magical, masterful way of doing this to get the results I do on occasion, and I'm certainly not suggesting that I am outstanding, because I am by no means fantastic in comparison to some other people. But I do get asked a lot what I actually do to get the results that I get, and the answer is take shortcuts, because I'm impatient. So painting by this means certainly is not any quicker than painting wet on wet. In fact, it probably takes longer, because when you're wet on wet you can be much swifter with your work. This actually takes a considerably more time to get the desired result, essentially, because by blotting off the paint you are also making the quality of your colour less intense. Whereas wet and wet you can get some really vibrant colour mixes and colour layering, whereas doing it like this you're actually shooting yourself in the foot a bit. So although it seems like a clever idea, depending on what result you're after, it's not really. It works well for me, it works well for what I want to achieve with my work, but it's certainly probably not going to be for everybody. I've put 6 layers of paint maybe on here. Unfortunately my camera is really rubbish, so you can't quite see the changing colour throughout this. Brown's also an awful colour to be using. I've tried to change the tone a bit by putting some blue in it, some purple in it, a little bit of yellow in it initially to try and lighten that. I might put a wash of yellow over it as well to make it a little bit more vibrant in the lighter areas. Again, by blotting it, you can do washes and then blot them, and the pigment clings to the paler parts and the plain paper, but literally just gets wiped straight off of the darker areas, which is really good. Yeah, so that's how I do it. Maybe you've learnt something, maybe you think I'm just some sort of hooligan who doesn't know what they're doing and should never be allowed near paints again, but that's your own choice and decision, and you never know, you might want to give it a go yourself.